Who has more pressure on him for this upcoming season, the QB or the coach?
The quarterback, for the major reason, he's got one chance. That's it. Nick Sirianni will get two chances, I believe. Even if it's really bad, I think they'll blame it on the quarterback and say, okay, we got to draft a quarterback. We got to get Deshaun Watson, and Nick Sirianni will get that mulligan. So to me, for that simple reason, Jalen Hurts gets one chance, man. No mulligans, one opportunity. This is it. Succeed or don't.
A hump day edition of Birds 365 here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. John McMullen, Jody McDonald hanging with you. Got an hour left to play. And during that hour, we will talk about video being sent out featuring the Eagles. I guess we could call him number one quarterback, lead quarterback, top quarterback. Just can't call him the starting quarterback because the coach says there's still a competition.
We can call him the starting quarterback because we don't lie, Jody. We can call him the starting quarterback.
We can give you our opinion, and it's a pretty substantiated opinion that Jalen Hurts is going to be the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, I guess, was it his directed Instagram account that sent out video of Jalen working out in Alabama over the last couple of days, or was it someone else's that I was able to pick up on Twitter?
I got it from somebody else. I assume, by the way, there's no problem with this. I talk about it all the time and my aspect, and that's why I'm going to bring Kevin on. But my point is, you see this around the NFL. I talked about building brands when we were talking about Hard Knocks. This is building brands for players. This is the reason they do this. I have no issue with it whatsoever. From Jalen Hurts' perspective, I know the kid's a hard worker because he's working every day when nobody's there. But, they have agents. Nicole Lynn is Jalen's agent. They have brand ambassadors, they got people building up their brands. And this is all professional athletes. My only question is, man, fans get so pumped up by these things, and they're meaningless. They're meaningless other than, hey, if you want to have some fun and watching Jalen Hurts throw the football to Devontae Smith in Alabama, great. I mean, yeah, it's exciting to think about what could be down the road. My only caveat to that is, and this is why I bring up Ben Simmons, we went through this year after year after year. Oh, look what Ben Simmons is doing with an empty gym. Look what he's doing. He's shooting threes. He's got to be spectacular. It doesn't matter. It's all I'm trying to say. It does not matter about putting video, and well-produced video, by the way, on any kind of social media platform. It doesn't mean anything. Show me the footwork drills. That's what I'm interested in. Show me the mechanical stuff. That's what I'm interested in. Is it consistent? Give me the full hour. And then maybe I can tell you something.
Here's the difference between, and I see the parallel you're trying to draw between Ben Simmons and Jalen Hurts. It's just too obvious not to be able to see. But there's a significant difference between the two, at least as far as I'm concerned. I truly believe that Ben Simmons' people sent it out for a reason. And the reason was to make people believe, reel in the less than initiated who think, ooh, he's making jump shots. That means he's going to make jump shots for us this year. Yes, they're playing to a percentage. It's a small percentage, but it should be a minuscule percentage. Unfortunately, it's small, that are actually going to read something into this and parlay that into belief of what he's going to do when he puts back on a Sixer uniform in a game that counts in the NBA. Shame on you if you fell for that stuff. But Jalen Hurts isn't even trying that. As you mentioned, tremendously produced. It's slow motion.
Yeah.
You can watch the rotation of the football as he throws it downfield. Yeah. It's complete and utter entertainment. That's all that it is. It is not meant for you to judge, even by deception, that Jalen Hurts' accuracy is better because I'm watching this slow motion replay, this slow motion video in which you can count the grips on the football. It's going so slow that means his percentage is going to increase this year as a quarterback in the league. They're not. Now you're talking about actually playing to a minuscule. If you're stupid enough to fall for this, then after watching this video, damn, 53%. No way. He's hitting 75 this year. Do you see the tightness to that spiral? Do you see? No. If you are getting sucked in by this, then that's your problem. That's your fault. That's ridiculous. It's
people are getting sucked in, Jody. It might be a minuscule.
You're insulting Eagle fans. You're spitting in the face of Eagle fans. The Eagle fans can't be that stupid. They can't.
I always tell the Sixers fans that's stupid with Ben Simmons.
Yes, there were some stupid Sixer fans. Too many.
There's too many who take this stuff seriously. That's all I'm saying. Now, I hope you're right. Because by the way, you probably are right. I think the majority doesn't contact you. The majority doesn't tag you. The majority doesn't ask questions. So they're like, you're right. They're like, oh, this is cool, blah, blah, blah. I get to see Jalen Hurts with Devontae Smith. But there is that small group, and obviously that's the vocal group. This is going to be awesome. This guy looks great. This guy's doing this. To me, it's just utter absurdity. But again, I have no problem from Jalen's perspective, from Devontae Smith's perspective. And I criticize Carson Wentz for not working out as much as he typically would during the pandemic. A lot of that had to do with him being a first-time father. He had scheduled a trip to Texas to work out with receivers, and the pandemic kind of hit, and they had to scale things back. So I criticized him for not doing more of that kind of stuff. But guess what, Jody? The years prior, he did that stuff all the time. It's not that big of a deal. You have to do it in the modern NFL because you're not allowed to work with coaches at the facility. So you have to find other ways to get better. And that's the good part of it. Jalen Hurts is always trying to get better. He's always working with Quincy Avery in Atlanta. He's always doing extra work. That part's awesome. I'm just saying the overly produced videos, the hype of this kind of crap is just out of control. It's not just Jalen Hurts. It's not just Philadelphia. It's all over. You got Aaron Donald doing his handiwork with the knives. I'm sure you've seen that, the fake knives. Obviously, they're not real knives. Working on his handwork. That's one of the greatest players of all time. It's fun to watch, but it's not meaningful. I mean, people act like this stuff is meaningful. That's my issue.
All right. And if you are one of those out there who retweeted with a comment or commented directly on the tweet that you saw that included the video, whatever, you know who you are. You know if you're foolish enough to forfeit that your evaluation of the kind of year that Jalen Hurts is going to have increased yesterday because you saw this heavily produced video, then, as I said earlier, shame on you. I think it's a really small Eagle fans aren't going to fall for that stuff because it's thrown right in your face. It's a movie is what it is. It's not real video of actual football workouts. It's a movie. They produced it like a movie. So if you fell for it, we'll give you a pass. Just don't be so stupid again. But if you didn't,
by the way, Jody, at the end, I'll give him credit. It even says directed by a man by the name of Griffin Glendenning, who, good job, Griffin. You did a good job with that. Yeah, it's silly. But I can't tell you how many people sent me this. This is awesome. I mean, I don't know what to say.
I didn't get any of those, so I'm hoping that percentage is even more minuscule than you think it is. All right, which lends itself to another question for you. Walking in the kitchen last night, I don't know if it was either before or after, had dinner. But my wife always watches 6 ABC News at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever. And Jamie Apodi was on. and she did a quickie hit interview with Sal Palantonio from ESPN. We should try and get Sal on, but that whole ESPN thing, they don't like you doing other stuff.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to be successful, but we should reach out to Sal just the same. But that's an ABC. Channel 6 is Disney, which is same big happy family with ESPN. So Sal's going to show up there all the time. So he's on with Jamie Apodi. And she asked this question of him, so I will ask it to you. Who has more pressure on him for the 2021 season, Jalen Hurts or Nick Sirianni? Newbies both, in a big spot here in Philadelphia. Doesn't get any bigger than quarterback and head coach. Who has more pressure on him for this upcoming season, the QB or the coach?
The quarterback. For the major reason, he's got one chance. That's it. Nick Sirianni will get two chances, I believe. Even if it's really bad, I think they'll blame it on the quarterback and say, okay, we got to draft a quarterback. We got to get Deshaun Watson, and Nick Sirianni will get that mulligan. So to me, for that simple reason, Jalen Hurts gets one chance, man. No mulligans, one opportunity. This is it. Succeed or don't. And, as Brandon said, not necessarily that he's out of here, but he's going to be the backup quarterback, or he is going to be out of here. So it's one and done. Nick Sirianni will get at least 2 years for the reason I just mentioned. And also, Jeffrey Lurie's not going to admit, oh, I screwed up. I made this embarrassing hire. He's not going to do that in 1 year. Even though he seems, as he gets older, he seems to get more and more impatient. I think Nick Sirianni, worst case scenario, has 2 years. So by that definition, it's got to be Jalen.
This is why I like my partner, because he's a smart man, because that's exactly what I was going to say. And that's exactly what I said to myself when I was watching the news. And Sal Palantonio said there's more pressure on Nick Sirianni. And I looked at the TV scans and said, whoa. Sirianni's got he's got multiple years here.
Yeah.
Like John just said, there's no way that the owner's going to pull the plug after 1 year, unless he does something like go into his office and go, yes, I'm not going to be here for the Monday morning meetings that you want after game days. I'm the coach. Sorry, Mr. Lurie, I'm busy on Mondays. Well, then, yeah, he can get himself fired. If he wants to talk his way out of the job and refuse to acknowledge who hired him and who the real boss is, the owner, that's the only way he gets fired. He's going to be given some leeway to prove that he is or isn't up to the job. Whereas you're right, Jalen Hurts has got 1 year. That's it, which I think is borderline unfair to him. Now, some people say or argue that you're a second-round pick. You don't get multiple years. That you get that one jump into the spot. Unless you're a first-round pick or a high first-round pick, you're not going to get multiple years to stink the joint out and be given a reprieve and a second shot. So I guess in that way it could be. But it's really difficult under a first-year coach, a new system, to say, yeah, by the way, you need to win and win immediately. Otherwise, your day with this organization is over and done with. But I do think that's what he's facing. When we had Brandon on last segment, he mentioned a possibility is a competition at quarterback next year. That's the worst case scenario and highly unlikely. Either Jalen Hurts is going to be the man or somebody else is going to be the man. There's not going to be a competition to find out who is the man that's going to include Jalen Hurts. No, he's either going to sink or swim. There's not going to be any floating involved here. We're going to make a decision after this guy in basically probably less than a year. They'll probably know what they're going to do 8 or 9 games in. But there's absolutely more pressure on Jalen Hurts. I couldn't believe Sal Paulo said there's more pressure on Nick Sirianni.
Well, not everybody can think as logically and clearly as we can right off the top of our head.
Good point, John. Very good.
But I agree with you. I've said this numerous times. I don't think it's fair to Jalen Hurts, number one. I don't think he can prove it. I've said this constantly. I don't think he can seize the job. I think when we look forward, and we're talking this time next year, Jody, they're going to be looking for a quarterback. They're going to have their quarterback because of where we are in the calendar. But if we're talking pre-draft, they're going to be talking about moving up in the draft. They're talking about getting in a position to get Deshaun Watson or whomever. That's where they're going to be, because I don't see the ceiling up now. If they win 12 or 13 games, yeah, that's the slim path Jalen Hurts has. Keep winning and you stay on the field. They're never going to take you off the field if you keep winning. But man, that is a small path to navigate. So there is incredible pressure on Jalen Hurts. And there's different situations. You know, you mentioned second round pick. Drew Lock gets opportunity after opportunity after opportunity out in Denver as a second round pick, but they're also looking for the answer. They just can't find the answer. They're only playing it because they have to play him. Where the Eagles have had the advantage will have the advantage, the 3 first-round picks, most likely, if Carson Wentz plays in Indianapolis, and all the money to do whatever they will need to do to either get a quarterback in the top 10 or go out and get a veteran quarterback. Incredibly unfair to Jalen Hurts, incredibly pressure-filled position, because it's you're throwing a toddler into the deep end of the pool and say swim. That's it. That's what the Eagles are doing. And if you don't, we're going to the next toddler. That went down a grim path, but you get my point. It's a bad analogy, but you get my point.
It's a fine analogy. I'm going to add to it, as a matter of fact. That toddler that you're throwing into the deep end of the pool, let's say this is what transpires. This would be, John, my favorite, a hypothetical question for you. He doggy paddles his way from the deep end down to the shallow end and is able to stand up. He's not showing you Mark Spitz-like tendencies with a great form and goes flying down the other end of the pool. But he makes it safely, negotiates it well enough to the doggy paddle that he can get to the shallow end and he can stand on his own 2 feet. And that would equate to, on the field, the Eagles going 9-7. And oh, by the way, because of a late season victory, whoever they finish in a tie with in the division, be it the Giants, the Washington football team, or the Cowboys, they win the tiebreaker. And they win the NFC East this upcoming season at a not wowing anybody 9-8 this year. Jalen Hurts is the 22nd ranked quarterback in the National Football League. He's not dead at the bottom. He's not in the top half. We'll slot him in there at about 22, 23 with the commensurate numbers that go with it. More touchdown passes than interceptions, but he does throw some interceptions. His completion percentage is certainly better than the 50-something, but it's in the low 60s. In a league now, you want to see your quarterback be above 65. He's close to it, but he's not quite there. The Eagles are in that gray area middle ground, which they don't want to be. They want to be either he's our guy, he breaks out. Unquestionably, we've got an advantage now because we got Jalen Hurts with years to run on his rookie deal, better than other teams in the league, and he's not a washout. Oh, my God, we roll the dice, and, man, did we come out craps. He's in that gray area. Who's making that call? Is it Jeff Lurie? Is it Howie Roseman? I'm sure it's a combination of the two, but at the end of the day, one of the two has a stronger position. Who's making that call?
Yeah, it's definitely Jeffrey and Howie. Anytime it's the quarterback, and that's not rare, by the way. I've been critical of Jeffrey overreaching throughout the past couple of years, and I'll continue to be because I think he has, but not when it comes to the coach and the quarterback. I mean, that's what owners get involved in. That's the face of your franchise, off the field, on the field. You got to be involved in that kind of decision making. Otherwise, you're a poor owner, because then you're apathetic. You don't care, and that's even worse. So I have no problem with the owner getting involved with those types of decisions, and that's where that gray area is gray for this reason, Jody. We're going to go back to draft night on 2019 and say to ourselves 2020 and say to ourselves, What did the Eagles really believe when they drafted Jalen Hurts? Was it about getting a cost-effective backup quarterback, or do they really believe that he had a future as a starter in this league? That's the gray area. Which one? Was it just an insurance policy, or was it a real effort to get a player they thought had a chance to be a starter? The gray area, if they think he can be a legitimate starter, if that evaluation came back and said, this guy's a good player, then he has a chance. I think it's the other one. I think it was about getting a cost-effective backup, and they're already looking at next year and saying, okay, what are we going to do?
Right. But here's where I'll give Howie Roseman credit, and I don't think too many others are willing to go there like I am. I agree with you. I think a cost-effective backup was the main reason, was the number one reason. But it wasn't solely that. That part of it was because they used a second-round pick on him, not a third or a fourth, but a second-round pick was, and, comma. There's a comma in there, not period, and move on. A comma, so it's one big sentence. And by the way, Carson Wentz, very injury-riddled career to this point, if need be, and this guy gets the chance, and he's actually as good or better than Carson Wentz, we're not going to be afraid to give him the football and make him our starting quarterback. I think it was actually a combination of two. A lot of things you want to be able to say it's either or, one or the other. I do believe it's kind of both in this one. And that's why if Jalen Hurts turns out to be the man here in Philadelphia, wins the job, jumps into the top half of quarterback rankings this upcoming year, I'm going to give Howie Roseman a lot of credit for it because he did have nerve enough. And I guess we got to give Jeffrey some credit too because
deserves. And by the way, we'll have the answer to that question, whether it's or whether it's and 8, 9, 9, and 8. You'll have the answer to that question by how the Eagles react to that.
Fair enough. John McMullen, Jody McDonald, you Mac guys. Aaron Bird's 365, quickie timeout coming. And then Kevin Kincaid, Crossing Broad, joins us next.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.